Hi, everyone. Welcome to it's Friday and welcome. And it's raining yet again in New York on this weekend. I think it's the seventh weekend in a row. But welcome to this week's episode of Vented Uplift. We had a great week yesterday. Really. Okay, everybody forgive me and Alla forgive me. I'm not in my right state of mind because I've been walking around with a crutch because after my event the other day, I fell down the basement stairs because I didn't listen to that internal voice that said, take your pointy shoes off. I had pointy toe shoes on and I caught my pants and I went down the stairs. So I'm not in my usual state. I don't have my coffee next to me. But for those of you who don't know me, my name is Chrissy Canny. I'm the host of Vented Uplift, the CEO of Vented in Brooklyn, the aromatherapy jewelry with a mission of helping you feel good and give back to the community. And today we have on somebody who supported us last week at our amazing event. Check your cans. I left you a little sticky note because this is my copy because it was so sweet. So Alla Bardov here, our author of Get Out of the Rabbit Hole, she gifted all of our Pinkettes, our breast cancer survivors, this book last week. So it's great. I have not had a chance yet to jump in yet, but I'm very, very excited. And it's all about confidence and business strategies and things that you might say that like, I don't need to read a business book as a woman. But you know what? You're always selling. You're always selling in some kind of way. So we're going to talk about strategies. Don't turn this off because you think you're not like an entrepreneur. We're all an entrepreneur. We all have to sell something at some time. So whether it's a charity, your child, college, there's all different things that we're always selling ourselves. So Alla, welcome so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. It's an honor and a pleasure. And never did I think that by gifting these books, I would end up on your wonderful podcast. So I am thrilled to be here. And I am even more thrilled that you just started. You opened it up with one of my favorite things that we all live by selling something, whether we sell a product, a service, or we sell our ideas. I even tell my kids, when they come to me and they want something and I would look at them, are you selling? Well, what am I selling? And I said, are you selling your proposal? So we're always selling something every day. If you want to go eat Chinese food and your significant other wants Mexican food or something else, you're selling your idea. So the better you are at it, the more successful you will be. So I love that you opened with my favorite phrase. We live by selling something.
But it's true. You have to sell yourself. Even like when you want to get into a new group of girls or, you're always selling and how you approach something or how you speak to somebody or how you're going to handle the negative, right? We're always selling. So Alla, tell everybody a little bit about yourself and what brought you to this. So let's start with a little bit of your history.
So I'm sure you can hear my accent. And I immigrated with my family when I was 15 years old to Dallas, Texas, from Kiev, Ukraine. And by now everybody knows where it is on a map. And that was 44 years ago. Well, my gosh, now everybody knows how old I am. And so I started high school here and then I went to college. And in college, while studying accounting, I encountered someone who was recruiting for juniors and seniors for none other than door-to-door vacuum cleaner sales. And I thought, hey, I love sales, and that would be something fun to do. And so here I am, my second year in college, recent immigrant, still learning how to speak English. And I set out to sell vacuum cleaners door-to-door. And so for months, I learned all the strategies. I shadowed people in the business. I learned from the best personal development coaches, and I still could not meet my sales goals, no matter what I did. And so what I come to realize is it does not matter if I know how to overcome objections, how to ask for the sales, having a call to action. None of it matter if I couldn't get through the front door. And so if people would not let me inside the house, then I couldn't demonstrate my skills. And so I realized that I wanted and I needed to be more confident. And I asked for help. And some people offered their suggestions and I tried to do what they offered, but then each one of us was different. And we all act differently when the homeowner opens the door and how we carry ourselves and what we say. And what I also realized, the second thing I realized is that, so while there were cookbooks, if you wanted to learn how to cook, or there were driving lessons, but there was nothing. I could not find anything on how to gain confidence. There were no books. There was nothing at the time. So that's when my quest on how to gain confidence began. And long story short, by the time I graduated college, not only did I meet all of my sales goals, but I was also the top person in the entire country in a college program selling vacuum cleaners door to door. So
Wow.
then I started, and so that's how it all started. And then I started my almost 30-year corporate career in one of the Fortune 100 companies. And then later in life, I became an entrepreneur. And here I am with a book, Get Out of the Rabbit Hole, helping people gain confidence, everything that I've learned through this journey. And as you said, if there's one thing that I've learned from being in sales, selling door-to-door vacuum cleaner, from corporate life, corporate accounting and finance, is that we're all in sales. So if in corporate life, you sell your ideas, suggestions, proposal, you go to your boss, you go to your team, you're trying to sell something. And so there's a lot of similarities. So that's kind of how it all came about.
Yeah, I mean, and you worked for, are you allowed to say, or, I mean, you say it out
Oh,
there.
yeah, absolutely.
You worked
Yes.
for Exxon. I mean, you worked for a huge company as a woman.
As a woman, I worked for ExxonMobil for over 20 years. And in the latter part of my career, I traveled the world. It was international. So yes, it is very important. And in one of the stories, I describe how I walked in. I was in London, and I walked in, and I was the only female, and there was 30 men. And typically that wouldn't bother me. But the skills that I talk about in this book, the strategies, and it's not that I believe that it's rare to find individuals who have never struggled with confidence. At some point in time, we all have times and we have moments that we could use a confidence booster. And just like you go to the gym to build muscles, you can do, and you exercise to build your muscle, you can do the same with confidence. So you exercise your brain, you exercise your mind, and you learn how to build confidence. And so it was during that time that I was in a room with these men that I needed a confidence booster. And so I've used just about every one of the strategies while I was in that room to help me regain that confidence and not appear, but in my mind, be the person who really belonged in that room, just like the rest of the men in there.
Right. I mean, because that's intimidating. I feel like walking into any room. I shared last week with my publishers that I'm shy, even though people don't believe that. But there's certain skills that I do. Like, I don't like to get to an event late. I like to get there early so that I can meet people one-on-one as they come in.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like, I don't like walking into a room and there being so many people, because I'm bad at I'm bad at selling myself at that point. But if you put me behind a table and I'm selling, I could talk to, from being in sales, having my own business, I can talk to the top person at Macy's or Claire's and Disney, and I have, but so what skills did you use then? Okay, here I am, I'm walking in, I'm the only woman. I got to prove to these guys that, I got it all. What skills did you hone in on?
So I think a lot, literally, if you go, so the book has 12 chapters, and they're each can stand alone. And so literally I use everything from each one of the chapters. So in chapter one, I discussed the mindful boost. And so what is the mindful boost? It is if you know you're going to be in an uncomfortable situation or something that could make you feel, maybe a little nervous, a little anxious. If you instead of saying, oh my gosh, I know that there's going to be another event where I'm going to be so stressed, where I'm going to feel nervous, or I'm going to want to stand in the corner and not talk to anyone. So you can use some possessions, maybe something that you have that someone gifted to you, maybe a special ring, maybe a coin, whatever it is that to take your mind off, because your subconscious mind doesn't discriminate. So if you tell that, hey, this special bracelet, which I actually do, I do this all the time, that gifted to you by someone special and will help you succeed in a certain situation, it will help you perform better. That's what your mind is. This is what you're going to tell your mind. I am going to perform better. And it's going to ease up at the way I talk to people. So that's the mindful boost that you can use. Another mindful boost that you can use is before you go to an event, listen to something uplifting, listen to something positive. If you have a certain song, you can listen, or if you have a certain saying that you say to yourself, well, you can say it as you walk in. So you can definitely utilize that. Another strategy that you talk about is the way you dress. And so many times, we hear about it, dress for success, dress for success. And it's not only how you look to other people, how you present yourself, but it's also what your clothes say to you, not just about you, but to you. So before I go to any event, I will try different things and see, the tag doesn't matter, where you bought it doesn't matter, but how do you feel in a certain piece of clothing? If you raise your arms, will it expose your belly? But that gives you, so it's like a meter. And so when I put it on, I take a reading, and it's like my fuel gauge. What's my confidence fuel gauge in this outfit? So that's another thing. As I was sitting in that room with men, and I said to myself, I have my suit on, check. My uncomfortable shoes that are killing my feet, check. So I'm all good, and knowing
but you feel sexy and confident in those shoes. So
hey, I am here doing a podcast. We are, as I told you, we're traveling. Believe it or not, I do have heels on. I do, because they make me sit up taller. They make me feel better. And not that everybody has to do that, but they have certain things that make them feel better. But the main thing that really helped out that particular day was the body language. And it's just knowing what to do versus not sure what to do. And so confidence is not this big old thing, but it's knowing what to do in these certain situations. And just straighten up my posture, adjusting my arms. And I remember from earlier corporate day, we actually had, I talk about it in the book about the body language. And yes, you straighten up, you take up more space. But one of the things that they talked about was, and whether it was true or not, but the presenter said that if you are female, you don't want to tilt your head. So there was a big thing on head tilting, and it said it makes you look more vulnerable. And so at that moment, this was years and years later, the minute I remember it, it didn't matter whether my head was tilted this way, tilted that way, it was straight. But just doing that really gave me, hey, that boost of confidence. And one other thing that I did, I remember them talking about, standing, and I'm sure everybody's heard it. You stand in a Superman or Superwoman pose. Well, here you are sitting in the room. And so how are you going to do that? Because they say, do that before you walk into a meeting or something. And so one of the suggestions was, and which I talk about also in the book, and that I applied, you just kind of sit back for a quick second and you imagine yourself standing in this pose. So you don't actually have to be in that pose. You can imagine yourself. And so just that boost of confidence you will get is incredible. And so all the little things, it's not just doing one thing or another, but it's doing all the 12 things simultaneously that I talk about in this book that will result in that confidence that you need to help you through really any situation, including there's a big chapter on self-doubt as well.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. We can get to a whole thing with that. Okay. Those are really great tips. And I didn't know the thing of, I am a head tilter. So I think that's interesting. I'm going to take that the next time that I'm with a group of men, and, see, I feel like it softens. I tend to do it. I don't know why.
And if you notice in a lot of photos, and men don't do it as often, but if you look at photos, a lot of women feel like they have to tilt their head. And maybe it just makes them look, however it makes them look. But ever since I've heard that, I always do my best to keep my head straight. But like I said, just like you said, knowing what to do versus, hey, if I am doing this, it's going to give me confidence, I'm doing it.
Great. Yeah. And I'm all with you for, heels on and shoes. Cause so when I'm doing this and I'm home and, I'm getting dressed and my husband and my daughter, why do you have to have those shoes on clonking around the house right now? And I'm like, cause I feel better when I have shoes on. Right now I'm barefoot because,
Obviously, you're on crutches. Yes.
I'm on crutches. So, so I'm like, but it really does something. And I'm somebody like women are like, oh my God, you're always so together. And I'm like, I'm always so together because it's my confidence booster. Right. Like, so the book that I have
Right.
coming out, like the publisher, I wrote a chapter in an anthology, and the publisher asked us a whole bunch of questions to try to get to know the author a little better for the reader to, and they're like, what's your guilty pleasure? And my guilty pleasure is that I take as much time as I want getting ready in the morning. Like I do
Absolutely.
my hair, I do my makeup, and I'm like, it's not for anybody else, it's for me. So when I look in the mirror, I'm happy, and that sets the tone for whatever I'm doing for the day. I'm not a girl that walks around in sweats, and I like to be dressed and ready. Like if you come over, I'm ready for you. Like that's just that's my confidence booster.
And if that's what gives you that confidence, then you should absolutely do that. I am just like you. There are days when I don't leave the house, and my husband will be going into the office and said, "Why are you putting makeup on?" I said, "Who is that for?" I said, "For myself. It's for myself." And I worked with a client that used to work, well, she still does it. She works from home and she sells advertisements. And prior to us working together, she would say, well, it would be way past lunchtime and I'm still in my pajamas sitting and selling advertisements. And I said, why don't you try putting just a little bit of makeup, just a tiny drop, put on a little nicer clothes, and see how it affects the way you talk, how you feel about yourself. It affects your body language. And people think, well, they can't see my body language, but they can absolutely feel it because you feel better about yourself.
Interesting. Did she start putting her camera on?
She was not doing it she was selling advertisements over the phone, but
Oh,
she did say that once she made those tiny adjustments, that she did close more deals, so which is great.
right. Like I find it so hard, like even though she was on the phone, I find it so hard to connect to people when they're not putting their camera on. Like I had I keep telling the story, but I had interns this summer and I never saw their face. They would never put their cameras on. I just cannot connect. Like I need to see you. I need to read your, look at your lips. I
Yes.
need to just to understand and feel connected. But let's talk about all right. So you talk about confidence and, what brought you to write the book. How do you teach your children these little tricks? Like how old are your children now?
So now the oldest is 31, and I have a daughter who's 29, and then the baby just turned 20 2 days ago. And they have watched, I think, when people say, are you born confident? Are your kids born confident? And you will see that some people are more confident than others. And what I also believe is through the childhood, as they were growing up, they observed those around them. Maybe not necessarily their parents. It could also be other people who influence their world. And so some people have just developed more strategies or better strategies on how to be more confident, how to carry themselves. So my kids obviously have observed me. When I retired from corporate world, when the baby was born, he had some medical issues, so he retired me from corporate world, which caused me to become an entrepreneur, to figure out what am I going to do with my life. And in 2017, I decided to combine my three passions: speaking, training, and sales, and start Sell Yourself for Success, a sales training platform. And so the kids observed me. And so they have kind of been with me through this entire process through, hey, what do you do in sales? How do you act more confident? And through the writing of this book. And as I was launching this book, launching my sales training, for the first, up until COVID hit, I would do public workshops. And so here I am trying to literally bring my system into existence and take little pieces and go train the public. And so the kids would look at me like, Mom, aren't you worried? Aren't you scared? I mean, you don't even know, you create an event, bright event, you go to networking events and you hope that people will come to your workshops. You hope that they resonate with you. And then the reason that I also wrote the book is because the name of the company is Sell Yourself for Success, is because it's from my selling door-to-door vacuum cleaner days, because you have to sell yourself. I mean, the person on the other end buys you before they buy your product and services. They will either tune you out in the first 3 to 5 seconds. We all know that. So that's the reason it's called Sell Yourself for Success. But through all of my sales training, I didn't start on how to talk to the customers. I didn't start how to overcome objections. All my sales training starts with confidence building. And that piece is called Winning Before Starting, How to Gain Confidence and Achieve Anything Beyond the Ordinary. And so we start with confidence building. And so that's why I wrote the book. And so through every chapter, I would talk to my kids, well, I'm writing a chapter on this. What do you think? And so I will notice that the kids would start practicing the little things that I told them. And as we would go skiing, I would ask my youngest, I said, oh my gosh, you just zoomed through it. Weren't you worried that something's going to happen? And he didn't even realize that. He said, Mom, when I listen to this song, that's my confidence. I know that I'm going to do well. And I know that I'm going to overcome whatever obstacles are on the way. And so I think that my kids have learned little things that they have picked up. They have also learned very well that they're in sales and they sell every day. One is in sales. He's in the hospitality industry as a sales manager. My daughter, who is a manager at KPMG, she sells all the time. She sells her ideas. She sells her proposals. She has a team. And I make them very aware of it. And then, of course, my youngest has probably learned the most because he was in teen organizations where he was very involved in fundraising, recruiting. And so he would take all of the skills that I've learned, that I was teaching, and he applied. And one year, I will never forget, he went to this teen conference and he comes back. He said, Mom, I have to tell you the greatest thing what happened at this teen conference. And I said, what? And he said, they taught us elevator pitches. And that's one of your most popular offerings. So yes, so the kids have learned confidence. They learned the skills and the strategies needed.
Yeah. It does. So your son is 20. So, just getting into college, right? And going to a new place. And,
Yes.
right. If you're joining a fraternity or you're joining, some kind of group with what you're studying, you have to sell yourself. And even when you get out, you're looking for a job, any of us,
Absolutely.
we want to raise, we want to achieve more and be worth our weight, how do you tell a woman who is struggling to ask for a raise? What would you say to them?
I would say that number one, it starts with preparation. So you're dealing with self-doubt, and then there's also preparation. And self-doubt, a lot of times women don't feel as confident asking for a raise. There's also an imposter syndrome. There's so many things we tell ourselves before we even go in that, hey, I'm not going to get it. It's not going to go well. And so the first thing that I would tell them is to address the self-doubt and address the negative self-talk. Those are the things that really kill our confidence. And there's a huge chapter on self-doubt. And so the first, it starts with awareness. So start noticing, what are you saying to yourself? Because if you're saying, when I go in and it's not going to be successful, I'm not going to get what they want, I'm not going to get the reception, well, that's not going to happen. And then we also as women, we tell ourselves, I don't deserve whatever 10% or whatever I'm asking for it. So start catching yourself in these situations, and then ask yourself, do I really not deserve it? Ask people around you, and then replace it with something else. So what I did is I named my doubting thoughts. So every time I have a doubting thought, I say, go away, rabbit. So I catch myself, go away, rabbit. And then I replace it with, I am deserving of this opportunity. I am deserving of this raise. So that's the first thing. So you address the self-doubting thoughts. And then when you go ask, another big thing is preparation. So don't just go in and when your boss says, well, how much raise do you want? I am not sure. So do your prep work. Go see, what do other women or men or whoever other people make in your position? What, based on your experience, what is the standard raise in your company? Look at, compare yourself, or what makes you stand out from other people in your position, and why do you deserve that raise? And when you go in confidently, knowing why you deserve a raise. You're prepared. You have your mental boost. You have whatever it is, that mental boost, with your posture, with your body language, and you go in prepared, and you go in confident. So when the boss says, why do you deserve a raise, you can clearly say, why do you deserve a raise? How much do you want to get? I want to get 3%. I want to get 5%. So it's all the confidence and how you carry yourself.
That's great advice. Great advice. So what do you say about imposter syndrome? We all, suffer from that. Is there something you do daily besides getting your hair and makeup that can help us all fight that imposter syndrome? I know you have your 12 steps, but what other little routines do you practice every day?
I think it's knowing that you are knowing, first of all, that it's normal. I think imposter syndrome is something that we all struggle with. And when I wrote this book, I actually had somebody come up and they said, well, it doesn't really apply to men. Well, interesting. I know we're talking about women, but I just want women to know that we are not the only ones struggling with it. There's actually an imposter institute, believe it or not. And when they bring in these corporations, and they said that it's about 50-50 men and 50-50 and male versus female. So it's not just women who struggle with imposter syndrome. So I believe that understanding, first of all, hey, this is normal. It is normal for me to be questioning. I am not the only one, but you address it immediately. You replace it with the positive I am statements. And that's what I do daily. When I wake up, there's a chapter on I am statements. And when you say, oh my gosh, I don't even know if these people want to learn from me. I don't even know if I deserve to be in this position. There are people that are better than I am. Imposter syndrome is like the number one thing really that kills confidence, when you don't believe you deserve of this opportunity, or you don't deserve something. So replacing it. So when you wake up in the morning, you say, I am a best-selling author. Instead of saying nobody will read my book, there's so many other people better than I am. So realizing it, catching yourself, and saying your I am statements have tremendously helped me. And I do this every morning. I do this throughout the day. I have them written out. And you create your own reality, not the reality that your brain creates, and you control it. I think it's so important.
Those are great tips. So you are a coach. So how can people get in touch with you and find you or hire you?
So they can go to sellyourselfforsuccess.com, and they can look through all the offerings. I work with entrepreneurs, I work with companies, also work with corporations. We work on building sales training, improving their sales, whether they're actually in sales, or I do train companies that don't have their people in actual sales, confidence training, confidence training and presence, and personal branding. And interesting enough is, when you look at executive life coaches, presence is the number one most requested trait, because it is so important to have that presence and build confidence. And confidence is the foundation, really, of having presence and having that charisma.
So be your own brand. It's very important.
Knowing what makes you stand out, knowing why you're different. And people say, well, what is personal branding anyway? And the best way I can describe it is, it's what people say about you when you're not in the room.
Oh, all right. I like that. All right. So Alla, thank you so much. And thank you once again for gifting all of our models last week. You help us raise over $3,300. So we're very excited for making strides against breast cancer. Everybody, it's this weekend, Sunday. It's going to be here in Staten Island and in Brooklyn. Unfortunately, they do not know it yet, but I can't go. I'm so sad because I'm a volunteer. I sit on the board like all year long. And yeah, I'm not going to be able to stand and work all day. And I'm very bummed. But we're going to have another fundraiser next week on Wednesday. I'm hoping to be there. We have a free mammogram bus coming in Bay Ridge, right in front of Charms at Charm JLM by my brain. Really, it's going to work today. And it's being brought to us by Justin Brennan. So if you are over 40, you live in New York City or New York State, and you've not had a mammogram in a year, you don't have insurance, don't worry. There are a few spots left. So please reach out to Justin Brennan's office. We have a raffle that's starting today. Multiple restaurants and clothing stores have donated. So we're going to start that raffle today. It'll be 1 for 5, 5 for 20. We're going to raise more money for breast cancer awareness. That, and then other stores are giving back a percentage of their sales. So if you shop Wednesday, they're giving us back 10% of their sales. So come to Bay Ridge and shop. And I think that's all the updates. So Alla, thank you so much. Enjoy your vacation down in Florida.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And thank you for all you do. Thank you. Thank you.
And I'm looking forward to reading this and getting out of the rabbit hole. We have to sell ourselves. I'm going to go pitch what we're having for dinner tonight. So
love it. Good luck. Good luck.
All right. Hang out 1 second. Okay. All right. Have a great one, everybody. Go buy that book and go follow Alla for these great tips. We're all selling every day. Just think about it. All right. Bye.